Since doing my prelim task, I've actually learnt quite a lot of things which have been useful. For example, I think the most important thing that I've learned is knowing how important the front cover really is, because especially for a magazine, as it's the first thing that readers are going to see, and if they're not attracted and if they're not drawn to the magazine, then they're not going to pick it up and read the rest of it. So you need to make sure that it's like really bold and attractive colours and attractive images and interesting words on the page, so that people will stop and think, oh yeah, I'd quite like to have a look at that, I'd quite like to read that. So I learnt that through my prelim task, and I learned about the importance of contrasting colours, because you can't just bung any colours together and think, oh yeah, that's what they'll have to do. If colours don't mix and match well with each other, then it's not going to be very appealing to the eye and it's not going to look good, and people aren't going to want to buy your product if it doesn't look good. I also learnt how important it is that the text and images are readable. For example, if you have a look at my prelim task, you can see that most of the font is in like this red colour, and it clashes with the yellow of this woman's jumper from the image. So that wasn't like good, because you can't read the text. If you can't read the text, then you're not going to want to buy the product because you won't know what it's about. So yeah, I found that was really important, and I found that I had to play around with that quite a lot, like the positioning of the text on my front cover. I had to like keep playing around with it, moving it around, because if it's not readable, then no one's going to want to buy the product. So that was important. From doing my prelim task, I've learned how important it can be, like using the program that you're using, and that it can make all the difference. Because, for example, when I made my prelim task, I just used Microsoft Publisher, I think it was, but it didn't look very professional. And then someone mentioned to me, oh, maybe you should try Adobe Photoshop, which is what I've made my magazine on, and it did make a difference. It made it look so much more professional. And although it was quite hard to use, because I've never used Adobe Photoshop before, once I taught myself how to do it and once I'd got the grip of it, it was actually easier than Publisher. And there's just so much more you can do in Publisher. You've got so many more effects, and like you can play around with the lighting and the contrast a lot more. So yeah, that was really good. And I edited all my photos on Adobe, because it's more professional, and it's what like professional people use to edit their photos. So yeah, I thought I might as well give it a go, and I did, and my images ended up coming out really professional, because obviously you can play around with the contrast and the brightness levels, and you can take out like background mess. So yeah, that was